Hi, and welcome to the She's a Christian podcast. I'm your host, Louise, and this podcast is going to be brought to you every single week. If you're a Christian and you're looking for some great community, then we hope that this podcast makes you feel like you've nipped round to your pal's house for a cup of tea and a chinwag, and that you go away feeling even more excited and more aware of God's goodness, His love for you, and His protection over you. If you aren't a Christian, or you know some Christians but they're a bit weird, maybe you're not even sure that God exists, maybe you're seeking, then this is a great place for you too. Come along, tune in, and we hope that you go away feeling encouraged and uplifted, hearing testimonies of goodness from people from all walks of life. Tune in. I don't really know what I'm doing, but does anyone? And let's do this together. Hi, and welcome along to Season 1, Episode 8 of the She's a Christian podcast. In this week's episode, I am being interviewed by Wendy Griffith. Wendy runs the Thriving Women Project podcast, and this is a wonderful podcast and one that I listen to all the time, and it's for women who just want to level up in all areas of their lives. Wendy is a great friend of mine. She has a podcast that I really believe in and love to share, and the topics that we cover are super relevant to what I'm trying to do with the She's a Christian podcast anyway. So I thought, what a great chance to repurpose this content and share it with my listeners. So sit back and enjoy, and I hope you like it.
I am delighted to have my amazing friend Louise here with me. So Louise and I have actually known each other for, over 12 years now, because we both have a business with network marketing company Arbonne International. But Louise is also she wears so many hats. She also owns a traditional business. She runs a podcast herself, the She's a Christian podcast, which is amazing. She invests in whiskey, but she's never drank a drop, which I love. She's married to a very busy surgeon. She has 3 kids under 6. She helps out on the kids' rota at church and all the things. And she is even and has joined or been invited to join. This isn't sort of something you can just do. Being invited to join and accepted into the Evangelical Alliance for the Scottish Public Lead Program. So she's going to tell us a little bit more about that, because that is super, super interesting. But yes, as you can tell, Louise is a busy lady. So I'm delighted to have her here to share more with the women in our Thriving Women project. So Louise, is there anything else you want to add to that introduction? Because I know you're not about all the titles in life. You're much more about the fun stuff. So tell me some like rando facts about you, because I know there's quite a few. Oh, hello. And then she invests that money in whiskey. Honestly, this woman, what she doesn't know about investing, but I know that was quite a journey for you, because you were someone who was sort of living quite the high life, in the sense of you were earning a lot of money in your online business before kids. And you just basically said that you were kind of wasting it. You weren't being very mindful with it. And then you had this epiphany. You read a book. What was that book that you read? And that was just the light bulb for you. And now I just remember you speaking at this event, and you said how you basically sold all this like random stuff that you bought on all like the websites, the Primarks and all that kind of thing. You essentially earned about £1,200 from selling all this stuff on Vinted. You then bought a vintage handbag, paid £250 for it to get redone. You see, I was paying attention. And then you sold it for like £5,000 and then used the money to invest in whiskey. Now, tell us why whiskey, because not a lot of people know about this. So tell us the whiskey thing, because this is so interesting, by the way, guys, if you're looking to get into investing.
said I had to clean up my room. So my game was cleaned up, cleaned up this week when it came to consumption of alcohol. And that was because I read a book called Neighbours Next Door. It was actually recommended to me by one of the youth leaders of the time in my church. And it is a very old book, but it's the most in-depth study ever on the spending habits and behind the curtain peek at the money of America's millionaires. And the spoiler alert, if you're listening to it, is it's not the people with Gucci belts driving around the airport. It's the people in the Arab's house next door that keep it in cash, that have set the next generation up well, who, you know, have been very, very smart with their money and have never bought expensive things to keep up with the Joneses. Because keeping up with the Joneses, regardless of your level of income, will always leave you wanting more and making you weaker financially because you're buying stuff that you don't need to invest in. So I was able to rewire my brain, so to speak, when I looked at stuff out with expenses and things like that, and took me on a journey of learning about money and how money works, and became quite fascinated with it actually. So more recently, when we put our house on the market, I had if you're smart with your money, I'm very mindful as well. There's a cost of living crisis going on right now, but just something that was clear to me was you only have so much you can put into a tax bracket every year, and you only have so much you can put into a national savings and investment. So, you don't get anything back on that, but it's like the lottery. And after that, you ask yourself more creative with what to do. And I decided that I wanted to get into the world of investing a bit heavily with more interesting things. And what I decided to do, I wanted to find a way of doing it so that I could report back and make it accessible and doable for the average person.
Yeah.
So I gathered up all of my cheap fast fashion, of which there was a lot, and I started selling it in Vinted. And all the money stayed in my Vinted account. And the real prize actually was getting to walk into a nice clean closet and get through category with just fresh stuff. And the more that I sold and I purged, the clearer my mind began to feel. But I got this pot of money and I tracked down a vintage Chanel handbag. And at the same time, I'd been reading a lot into the price increases that Chanel were doing, um, different asset classes you can invest in, and luxury fashion being one of them. I thought, well, that speaks my language more than anything. Everything like that. Because I love handbags. I'm a girl, total girly girl. And I tracked down the Chanel handbag. It was off Vinted, blah, 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 blah. I bought it for £1,200. I mean, that's a lot of money, but wow, for what it is. And it was unique to me first. And I sent it off to get redone. I turned back around and it up for auction. And I flipped it. Flipped the handbag and I made £5,000. And I bought whiskey because whiskey is said to reduce your brain fat. And once I had then got an offer on that whiskey, I sold that whiskey and I revalued my portfolio, and we were able to then buy a few more casks of whiskey so that we have whiskey in for all of our children, and that really makes me feel happy. So that was a fun wee game, and it started from selling piles and piles of clothes. And I want to say that I don't want anyone to come and say, well, you're privileged because your husband's a doctor, you must have money to spare, or you've got a business.
Not with what doctors earn in the UK. But no, I love that, back in the day it was like, be a doctor, you'll be rich. It's like, no, don't be a doctor. But I love this story because I think it's so important to the women in this community, whatever age you're at. And I've certainly been so much more mindful of that. It's so interesting, our definitions of what we think success is when we're younger, and, the fancy job and the fancy car and the big house and all these things. And actually, the older you get, the more you just think, no, like this is not what's real. And I know you stand for so much about, family values and what's important. And I know for you, like juggling motherhood, running businesses, because you love it. But what I love so much about you is that you always keep your family and your faith at the front and center of everything you do. So talk to us a little bit more about what that's looked like over the last few years, becoming a mum, running a business, all the things you're juggling, and how you just, because I love your attitude. You just you just do things the Louise way. You're not interested in keeping up with the Joneses, copying what anyone else is doing. You run your race. I know. I know. It's so true. It's so true. Mm. Yeah. No, I think I know as cliche as it sounds, everything happens for a reason. And I think there's so many things we wish we could go back and tell our younger selves. But talk to me about like how you've managed your health and well-being, because this is really a podcast community of women that want to thrive in all areas of their life and their health and their business. And I know you've been on quite a journey with your health over the past few years. I mean, you've never been an unhealthy person. I do know you do have a special place in your heart for chocolate. That is a Louise weakness, but don't we all, honestly? But yes, tell me a little bit more about your health journey over the last few years. Just before lockdown. Wow. Mm. Ooh. Wow. Mm. And you're also an introvert by nature. So the idea of going to a cafe to talk to random strangers is like not helpful. Mm, mm, good for you. Mm. 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 Oh. Wow. I know. I mean, like no one, it was all such a blur. Gosh, Louise, I mean, obviously you've shared all of this with me before. This isn't news to me, but at the same time, just when I hear you talk about it, I cannot begin to imagine. Because for those of us who are mums who have gone through having kids and that those feelings, I mean, it's hard enough without then something being clinically wrong. And I just think if anybody right now is listening to this thinking, oh my gosh, that is me, or that's how I felt, or I just want to plead with you to go and see your doctor and get the help and support. And I will link to some resources in the show notes for you. But at the same time, the bravest thing, I love what you said there, the bravest thing you've ever done in your life is to just make that appointment and go and take that medication, because it's so, isn't it crazy that, say you were sitting here telling me a story about how you'd recovered from breast cancer or something, you wouldn't be sitting there going, and I had this big thought about, should I have the surgery, should I take the drugs, we'd be going like, yeah, do it. And it's so weird that when it comes to mental health, we have all these stigmas, we have these limiting beliefs. And I know that I struggled with the same thing during lockdown, and mild depression, and what I now realized was perimenopausal anxiety, and also went on sertraline, lower dose than yourself, but obviously yours was specifically for reasons that you needed it for. And yeah, and I know that you've come out the other side of this, and you've done the therapy, you've had the meds, you have done the work. And I just want to applaud you for your bravery, and thank you so much for sharing that. That couldn't have been easy. Like, you're probably reliving it and just everything. But honestly, you would have blessed someone so much by sharing that story here today and just helping someone else. So let's pick up the tone. Let's talk about something. So we've spoken about handbags, we've spoken about postnatal depression, whatever's coming next. Mm, 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 mm. It was for treatment for a medical condition that any one of us can have. And so, yeah, I just really want to encourage anyone listening to this to go out, whatever it is for you, go and get the check, go and get that mole checked, go and, speak to your professional about your mental health. Like, you are not alone. There are so many people out there to support you. But honestly, such an inspiration. And you've obviously gone on to have a third child, and everything fine. No, like nothing. Yeah, who wouldn't love that stuff? So, talk to me about your faith. Tell me about this Evangelical Alliance briefly. Mm. So true. Mm. I was going to say, we have to talk about this amazing podcast. You've had such incredible messages from people all over the world. A lot of people who aren't Christians as well. Oh, we know who's behind this. I love that. Yeah. And that's why I knew that you had to have a podcast, because I knew we had to get your voice out there. You're so funny, you're so relatable, you're so real. And every time you get a wobble, I'm like, shush, Louise, like absolutely you need to hear, or I'll challenge you and say, no, don't dim your light on that. We're standing up for this or whatever. So I love that partnership. And I'm going to link to Louise's podcast in the show notes, because you have to check it out, even if you're not a Christian or have any inclination towards faith. It's just, Louise is just funny. When I was like uploading this into the podcast charts, I was like, I actually put it down as one of the categories as a comedy, because I'm like, honestly, she's so funny. I mean, licking pavements and doing all the things she does. I mean, truly, it's amazing. But yes, obviously being, I mean, I can't believe the breadth that we've covered. So we've got handbags, postnatal depression, podcasting, business, health. I don't think we've left any whiskey. I don't think we've left any. Oh, but also, but what I love about you, Louise, is that you are being an introvert. You are so about like
Hi, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. So if you haven't already, please subscribe and leave a review, or even email me with anything you think I could do to make this podcast better. I'm totally open to hearing feedback and ideas. Every single week, I am emailing out a bit of an encouraging newsletter. These are going to change every week. Sometimes it's going to be thoughts that God has put in my heart. Sometimes it's going to just be maybe a series of funny stories or life hacks or things that I find helpful. Either way, it's a great way for us to connect, and I would love to have you on the subscribers list, so make sure to do that. Have a lovely week, praying for God's protection over you as you just go about your business, and I'll see you again. Bye.